Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's Mission, My Mission. This week we're studying from lesson number 4, which has the title, Sharing God's Mission, and today is Wednesday's lesson, which has the title, Abraham's Mission. Today's lesson truly revolves around Genesis chapter 19, verse 1 through 29, which is the account of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So a really interesting parallel that is drawn here in today's lesson is between Lot and Abraham. Because as the lesson says right here, the text gives an interesting indication about the position of Lot in the city of Sodom. Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. That means that he was an important person in that city. We don't know precisely how long Lot had dwelt in Sodom at that point, but the fact that he was sitting at the gate indicates that he was a person of high status. That's where many disputes would be resolved. That's where people would take some of their cases, their local, disputes that they would be having with other people, and they would be resolved there by the elders of that town. Now, of course, they had a king, and perhaps some other kinds of disputes could be resolved with him, but the gate of every city was an important place for that city. It was kind of like the hubbub of what was happening, what was going on. And so the fact that Lot was sitting there indicates that he was someone with a higher position in that town. But what does happen is that he sees these strangers going by, and knowing his town, Lot invites them into his home. The comparison that is made between Lot and Abraham is a very interesting one. It says here, Genesis 19 almost parallels chapter 18 and the story of the angels with Abraham. Abraham and Lot were each sitting at the entrance or gate. Abraham and Lot each invited strangers to rest in their abode. Abraham and Lot each prepared food for their visitors. Whatever else his faults, Lot had some good characteristics, it seems. So he had learned things here from Abraham in the same way that Abraham was a good host, that he loved the people around him, that he served them. Lot apparently does the same thing. He's a good host. He invites these strangers into his house. He doesn't know who they are, but he invites them into his house. He takes care of them. Again, he might have other issues in his life, but he was a good host. He was putting into practice the gift of hospitality. The lesson goes on saying, we don't know how many people were living in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah at the time of this account, but among these thousands of people, only 4 left the city and only 3 were saved. The same with the Genesis flood. We don't know how many people were alive then, but we know that most were not saved. And that brings up a very important issue when it comes to living the life of a missionary. Not everyone that we minister to, not everyone that we serve is going to be saved. Not everyone is going to accept what it means to have a life with Jesus Christ. These people, they knew Abraham, they knew Lot, they knew their character, they knew their God, certainly Abraham's God. He testified about his God in that whole situation happening between him and the city of Sodom and Gomorrah when he delivered them. So they knew a semblance of truth. They certainly knew that it was immoral to do what they were wanting to do to these 2 strangers, these 2 visitors that were in Lot's house. They rejected the truth that they had, and because of that, they were destroyed. Friends, that's the truth in our world today as well. Not everyone will accept the truth. Unfortunately, many will altogether reject the goodness of God's grace, the goodness of His mercy, and the hope that we have in Him. And so our job, it's not to drag them towards being convinced. It's not to shove all information down their throats. It's not to fill up their heads with everything, all the facts that we know. Our mission, our job is to be witnesses. That's it. God doesn't need lawyers. He doesn't need people to be constantly defending Him, to be constantly arguing and being angry or being zealous for Him. What He needs is witnesses. What He wants is witnesses. And so remember that. Your job isn't primarily to go out fighting with people, arguing with people, having debates with people. Your job as a missionary, as a Christian follower of Jesus Christ, your main mission is to befriend people, is to be a good host, is to love them, is to pray for them. And that will demonstrate God's reality in their life through you. And so do that. Be a good host. Pray for people. Love them. Be their friend. Be there in the good times and the bad. Be there to visit them, to cry with them, to hear them when they're going through the different things of life. That will be one of the best things you can do for them. And in the opportune moment that God will give you when you do these things, He will allow you to then share what you know with these people. So remember that. Sometimes they will reject it, but our job is not to be His lawyers, it's to be His witnesses. May God bless you in the study of today's lesson. It's a very interesting story as you read Genesis chapter 19, verse 1 through 29. There's a lot of details embedded in this text, so don't forget to study. Please comment down below if you have any questions or any comments. I'd love to interact with you. And please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day. And I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Day.